Hello and welcome to the WeYouMe State of the Network number 24. Today is the 16th of September 2018 and you're here with your host Harrison McLean, where we talk all about the WeYouMe updates that we have for this week. But for those of you who are new here, you might be wondering, what is WeYouMe? WeYouMe is a protocol for blockchain social media with a decentralized exchange and a peer-to-peer marketplace. Users can make posts on boards, groups, or profiles and encrypt them to make them private. Businesses can create crypto assets to represent voting power and distribute revenue. Merchants can list products for sale and receive free and virtually instant payments from customers. Users earn rewards when they post valuable content, earn tips, and can charge micropayments to access premium content. Supernodes earn rewards for providing file storage through IPFS. The protocol earns revenue by selling account memberships, post-promotion, and charging trading fees. Every interface to the blockchain can choose which content to display and how to sort it. The protocol itself has no censorship. Users can choose which identity to use for posting, whether a profile account, persona account, or anonymously. And users and applications that create accounts for new users earn an ongoing share of the revenue from those users. So to sum it all up, it is the best of Steam plus the best of BitShares wrapped in one simple package and delivered to the mainstream audience. So today in the updates for this week we have Sunrise Island. So members of the WeYouMe team, namely myself and our Chief Marketing Officer Lyndon, participated in the Sunrise Island Venture Capital Conference to expand our business network. So that's where I was throughout the middle of this week in Sydney, Australia, reaching out to the preeminent venture capitalists in the space to gauge the interest in WeYouMe, and suffice it to say, it was very, very strong. We met with several prominent potential funding and advisory partners, and we are building relationships with local professionals in Australia before we move internationally to source capital for the private seed round. And a long-awaited announcement is the newest addition to the business and application case, or now called Business Application Suite, and that is Mailcash. So Mailcash is going to be a business or a service operating on the WeYouMe blockchain that will enable all WeYouMe users to send and receive any WeYouMe assets just using an email address. So you'll be able to send to anybody's email address by putting it in the memo of a transaction without requiring that the recipient already have a WeYouMe account. So essentially, it's going to be a payment service that operates on the WeYouMe blockchain with very, very low transaction fees, or no transaction fees, at least at the start. And the username will not be required for receiving it. So you won't actually have to create an account. What it will do is operate a payment service where each email address is able to send funds just by sending an email. So for those of you who are familiar with Bitcoin Cash's Cointext, it will be a fairly similar user experience. Instead of using phone numbers, it will instead use email. So email is something that is much more publicly visible. You can easily get the email address of your friend, or for people that you may not know personally, they're more likely to be able to give you an email address than a personal phone number. So there's a sort of barrier to entry for things like this in the space for passive receivership of cryptocurrency. So that's what we'll be building as one of the early applications on the WeYouMe blockchain. And next up is our private seed asset. Reiterating from last week, this asset has been created and it is called WeYouMe on BitShares. We have sent out test transactions. The asset is working as intended, and it can only be sent from whitelisted BitShares addresses. So if you are interested in participating in the private seed round, then you can contact the team at harrison@WeYouMe.io. We have been giving previews to investors all across Sydney, and we have had some very strong interest in joining the private seed round, and we're working through those relationships at the moment. We have a minimum investment of $50,000 US, and each WeYouMe is valued at $3 per unit. Next up this week, we have the development updates and the testnet status. The testnet is still up and running across multiple witness nodes. It is being debugged and tested as we speak. The rebranded chain to use WeYouMe asset names is still undergoing final testing and awaiting deployment. And we have still been interviewing further some new members of the development team, and again overseeing office relocation options. So same as last week there. What has changed this week is that the alpha client has now been rebranded and is now hosted on alpha.weyoume.io. So this currently reads the Steam blockchain still, and the new blockchain is becoming very, very close to release. The final point of difficulty is actually accessing the initial accounts that are created with the init private key system that is being worked through at this point. What we've added on the user interface end of things is a dislike button instead of having a flag tucked away. So instead of having on Steam, what it does is it has a number of dots for the amount of flags that something has. And that's not the best way of actually curating content because it places a large psychological cost on downvoting something. On Reddit, it's very, very simple, and it's treated as an equal and opposite thing to an upvote, is to downvote something if you think it's low quality content. Steam in its entirety on every user interface almost universally lacks equal placement and equal treatment of the downvote option. So one of the main important points of this is for content to be curated with downvotes as well as upvotes. When you downvote something, what you're actually in effect doing is collectively upvoting everything else. Whenever something earns too much rewards or too many or an unfair amount of rewards, if it's over rewarded, then the ability to downvote is much more clearly denoted in our interface. So the dev team has been working on the authentication server interface to enable the creation of accounts, and login and registration buttons have been added to the authentication interface. So work is progressing with the testnet development, and you can do a health check at peer.weyoume.io/health. Up next, we have thread review. So every week, the WeYouMe team posts a Steam thread containing the rundown and the time and the place of this state of the network, and it's open for questions and topic suggestions. So let's have a look over at the thread for this week. So this week's thread, we have some comments up this week. We have Nicklaus22. Every week WeYouMe keeps surprising me. I'm very excited with this project and with everything it has to offer. And this week, people took note of the fact that the best comment wins 50 BitShares. So leave your BitShares address in the comments for your chance to win. We have Mariana. She said, I've been a fan of Azira for a few months now, and a fan of WeYouMe now and onwards. And then we have Online W explaining some of the parts of the WeYouMe economy there. And we have Master the Matrix saying, wow, really exciting and useful project. I'll try to catch up with all the developments that are happening, and I still have to investigate Azira as well. Thanks for the airdrop. Then we have a very cute GIF from Sandra G, who has been reading a lot about WeYouMe, and she is again very excited to read about the new developments. Lots of people making some cool comments this week. With BitShares addresses attached, that's much better. We have Vita Fitness explaining some of the potential for multi-account abuse, where whales essentially vote for themselves on some other accounts they control. And WeYouMe, of course, has mechanisms in the blockchain to deal with that important problem. And going through, that pretty much fixes this one up. And then what we'll do is we'll check last week's thread and see if anyone had any interesting comments there. So last week's thread, we had 68 comments. And we have W. Doug Watson, who says, I'm a fan of graphene-based blockchains in general, and this project looks particularly promising. My main question is how the airdrop will be handled. Will all Steem and BitShares whales become WeYouMe whales? That's a very good question. We'll pop that one in our vote. So, the way that the Steem and BitShares share drops will be handled is as follows. Essentially, what we will do is take a snapshot of all of the Steem and BitShares accounts and their current balance of BitShares, BitUSD is included as well, and in addition to that, for Steem accounts, Steem and Steem Power and Steem Dollars. We'll weight those according to their current prices, and what we'll then do is attach those public keys to a essentially a snapshot. And what people will be able to do is create a transaction from their Steem account or their BitShares account to generate a new account on the WeYouMe blockchain with their newly created keys that are generated and inserted into the transaction memo. So this system was used to great effect by WhaleShares to do their initial launch, where the share drop is on BitShares. We'll be doing a similar share drop, and what that'll do is it'll mean that people won't have to import their private keys from their BitShares account or their Steem account, and it'll be a much more simple process of simply generating a transaction and sending it to the main accounts associated with the share drop. So that'll be the WeYouMe account on BitShares and the WeYouMe account on Steem as well. So a transaction that authorizes the generation of a new account from the past account is what will then be included in the share drop, and the key pairs generated on the user's interface will be imported into the blockchain, and a new account will be generated from those. So each balance that is taken from Steem and BitShares will be included in the initial balance of that account as it is sent from the WeYouMe main account. So that accomplishes a few things. Number one, it makes sure that there is no large amount of unclaimed WeYouMe, because it'll be retained in the WeYouMe main account at the start, and after a period of time, end date has not been determined yet, all of the unclaimed WeYouMe will be proportionally distributed back to the accounts that did claim their WeYouMe. So what that means is that after a certain period of time, there won't be a lot of vacant, unused WeYouMe. All 2.5% of the blockchain share drop will be distributed to accounts that have claimed it. So going forward from the rest of last week's questions. not too many useful comments coming from here. We have Steam UA with that up there. There it is. And the posts seem to continue. So what we'll do is we'll find if any of these have their BitShares account included. So because we're drawing last week's thread, we'll be drawing this week's thread next week. So we'll see if there's any BitShares accounts included in these comments here. Don't think I saw too many of them. We'll see if anyone has used BTS. And it appears that people have forgotten to include their BitShares addresses in their thread comments. But the good news is, in this week's thread, there were definitely BitShares addresses. So next week, there will absolutely be at least one winner. So the competition is drawn from the prior week's thread. So next week, this week's comments will be drawn. So there's a 7-day time period for everyone to ask questions, for the comments to be voted on, and it's much more accessible to everybody. Alright, so that's thread review for this week, and we will move right along to the next part of the Hangout, which is the discussion topics. So this week's discussion topics, we are going to start with identity networks. So in majority of social media today, every account you make ultimately pins down to something, some piece of identity that you already have that maps to you, that can receive and send communication. And this comes down to usually an email address. And what an email address really is it's an extension of the DNS or domain name system scheme for mapping human identity. So what it is, it provides permissioned access to use the namespace of whoever holds the domain of the email address you have. So for example, like your name at someone else is essentially your access to that domain name, which they manage on your behalf. When you own your own domain name, you own a top level, essentially, element that you can put anything appended on the front of. And what this is, it represents a permissioned naming scheme. So you don't actually control your email address, your email service provider does. If you run your own mail server, then you do. But it's not as easy as some other ways of managing your own identity. And the fact that email is used as a base layer of communication for the wide majority of social media represents a sort of centralization point of failure, in that you don't actually have control over it. So phones are another way that modern social media networks have tapped into the pre-existing social graph by allowing people to import their contacts, essentially. So again, phone numbers are absolutely permissioned. You don't choose your phone number, they're allocated to you. So they're again a centralized identity management system that can receive and send communication. Blockchain technology at its fundamental level enables not only sovereign currency, it also enables sovereign namespaces. So what that means is that every account that you generate on the WeYouMe blockchain is your own identity that you fully have control of. It maps to a set of keys that allows you to send and receive information. And only you have control over that name. No one can take it away from you. No one can take that account and freeze it. No one can suspend you from owning it. No one can move you to another name if they don't like it. and no one can access it through social engineering, which is actually quite possible for phone numbers. Phone companies are notoriously loose-lipped with their ability for people to manage to social engineer their help desk teams into reallocating permission over a phone number and who owns it. So with blockchain technology and with a WeYouMe account, you have a sovereign name, ownership of a namespace that you fundamentally control. So moving on to the next topic is the network effects of money. So money is the one thing in society that has the strongest network effect of anything. Money's network effects are incredibly difficult to break because they can't rely on being able to be accepted by even a small subset of society. For something to be money, it has to be universally accepted by everyone in a society. If it's not accepted by everyone in a society, it's generally not a type of money in that society. The way that crypto has been going along in the last few years is as a money for a subset of society. Where it needs to go is money for everybody. The future of money, the next money essentially. And what money has at the moment is the ability for anyone to receive it without necessarily having to do anything first. This is a very important thing. By allowing people to just receive it, like just by receiving a physical object like cash in your hand, that doesn't require you to set up an account. It doesn't require you to do anything in advance before you receive it. The case of a bank account is slightly different, but one of the ways that PayPal essentially took on the money social graph of the internet is by allowing money to be sent to an email address, and then they would do the account creation after the fact. So you send money to an email address and then it's sitting there until that person claims it. That way it can scale to the largest possible amount of people being able to receive it, because everyone generally has an email address. If they have internet, they have an email address. It's usually one-to-one pairing. At the moment, cryptocurrency has no such one-to-one pairing, and you have to set up a wallet, set up accounts, set up everything in advance. You have to do effort. You have to actively receive it. Crypto has only a handful of passive receiving solutions for things that most people already have, like phone numbers and email addresses. So email is the most valuable for sending and receiving money, because telephone numbers or mobile phone numbers are generally private, so they're not information that you want to be distributing or disseminating publicly. Email is the obvious choice for receiving something of value without requiring an active effort to receive it. And that's because it's the most widespread namespace for communications. It's at the core of the internet. It's an extension of the core of the internet, which is DNS. And it's used as essentially the backbone for everything else on the internet. Every time you sign up for anything on the internet, usually it's an email address, because it's something that they can tie to who you are and be able to send and receive consistent communication. The newly released Business Applications Suite has a new feature or a new business or service concept, and it's called Mail Cache. So Mail Cache acts as the bridge between crypto and email. It's a payment service that uses the WeYouMe blockchain that allows anybody to send and receive any WeYouMe cryptocurrencies to any email address. So what that means is that you no longer have to have a WeYouMe account in order to receive MeCoin or any WeYouMe assets. You can use this as a payment service. And what that allows is for number one, anyone that has an email address to start using cryptocurrency. The way they start is just by simple text commands to an email address that is to be determined. So essentially to deposit to your email address and allow you to send and receive money to your email contacts without requiring any WeYouMe account at all. all someone has to do is send it to the Mailcash account with your email address as the memo. So that hands over control of that Me coin, for example, to that email address, and then it'll send the recipient an email prompting them to either sign up or to send that money to another email address or another WeYouMe account. So for those of you who are familiar with Cointext for SMS on Bitcoin Cash, this is much the same service except operated by something that is vastly more universally covered than a phone number. So a phone number works without internet. That's a great thing. But people aren't necessarily going to be willing to dish out their phone number in public to receive money. Money needs to be public. You need to be able to send to a public amount or a public name. Email address is the first and foremost base layer of the public name space of the internet. So it makes sense to be able to spread the use of WeYouMe cryptocurrencies by having a payment service that pegs itself to people's email addresses. Obviously, that will be a centralized solution. It'll be a central service that will have the first and foremost priority of signing new users up to actually make their own WeYouMe account. So it's important to have the central service there first to act as an inroads to bringing people onto the blockchain. So with that said, I'll invite everybody to check out WeYouMe.io/businesses to read the new business application suite, which was released last week. And this has been the first major announcement of the latest addition to the business application suite, formerly business and application case, which acts as the most powerful network effect agent that is possible for the WeYouMe mainnet currencies. So one of the main root flaws of a lot of Ethereum ICOs is that they require the user to first hold cryptocurrency in order to use the application. For something that needs a network effect, it needs to grow to the mainstream without concern for whether that user has used cryptocurrency before in their lives. That's how we get mass adoption. We go for the everyday users who have never used crypto before in their lives. They just want something that works as money. Many services on Bitcoin Cash enable it to work as money, and I think by making the protocol into delegated proof of stake, we can take the transaction fees down to 0. We can take the confirmation times to 3 seconds instead of 10 minutes. Zero confirmation will no longer be a point of absolute vitriolic debate as it is in Bitcoin Cash, because we make it standard. 3-second transactions. There's not a whole lot of user-facing difference between 3 seconds and instantaneous for when you're receiving money. Anything that's faster than 3 seconds is pretty much instant to a user. So if we can take the entire zero confirmation Bitcoin Cash debate and put it somewhere else, then we can have a currency that works as money. That's the first and foremost important goal. With that said, we'll move forward to the rest of the state of the network. So before we go any further, does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any questions about the things we've discussed? If anyone has any questions, feel free to write them in or interrupt me as I continue. So next up this week we have the Twitter competition. So last week's Twitter competition was what type of user interface do you want to use for WeYouMe and why? So first we'll draw the winner of that competition. We'll see. Excellent. Someone's already responded to this week's competition. It's always crazy when people do that. Well done. Okay, so last week's question was, what type of interface do you want to use on WeYouMe and why? So first up we have Sam with, I would like WeYouMe to have a friendly interface with the user, prioritizing the security and the objective of WeYouMe. The easier interfaces are more attractive. So a simple, easy interface, I agree. Xavier Nino would like a Facebook-style interface on WeYouMe because it's a great interface. Thank you, Xavier.
100%. You'll be able to choose if you want to use a site as Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and you can even mix layouts.
So coming in from the wings of the conversation here at the WeYouMe startup house is our lead developer Nick, who says that users won't actually have to choose between whether they want something that does the features of one or the other. They'll be able to easily switch between the different layouts and customize them within the same web application.
So you can choose to use the site as Facebook, Twitter, or Reddit. So it'll ask you if you want to use the site.
Oh, and sign up.
Yeah, or after you log in or whatever.
Okay, so there'll be essentially what we can do is have a preset set of experiences to customize the user interface so that it's most reminiscent or familiar to Facebook, Twitter, or Reddit. Next up we have Mariana Aravalo, who says she would like an intuitive interface, that publications are easily editable, and an exchange to fiat currency, very important, because that way businesses would perform better. Very good. So that leaves us with 3, I think, entries for this week. And we'll check if there were any more linked in the Telegram, because Jack Dorsey and his shadow banning is no good at all. Yeah, we have Sandra, Mariana, and Mariana there. Oh, I think we're missing one entry. Okay, so we'll see which one has the most likes and retweets. I've got Sam with 450 something, Xavier with 300 or so, and Mariana blowing it out of the water with about 460. Versus, oh, it's close. That's 469 versus 470. Oh, Mariana Aravello with the winning tweet this week by 1 engagement, 1 extra like is the difference here, folks. It is neck and neck. Mariana wins it by 1 like. Congratulations, Mariana. That is 100, and we'll see if it's 150. Excellent, 150 bit shares, Mariana 4VE. Congratulations. Let's just go and send that. Mariana 4V with 150 bit shares. And there we have it. Congratulations, Mariana. Moving right along to this week's new Twitter competition. And it is the following. So if you would like to go in the running to win 150 BitShares, then post a tweet answering this question. Which business application is the most useful for you and why? So this is of course referring to the business application suite, which you can read at www.WeYouMe.io/business application suite in capital case. You can find it very easily from the website, so take a look through that, and your answer should include the name of one of the business applications. So which one of them is most useful for you and why? And what I'll do is I'll link in the business application case, business application suite rather, to the Discord here. So this is the business application suite, and it is in the Discord. There we go. So check that out, and same as always, leave the tags WeYouMe and @WeYouMe with the underscore included to be eligible to win the competition, and of course link your post in the competition's Discord to mitigate those nasty shadow bans. And next week's winner will win 100 BitShares, and if the winning account is in the Hangout next week, they win a bonus 50 BitShares. So the Hangout is every week, 1 PM UTC Sunday, every Sunday. So moving right along, we have the general discussion and questions and answers. So open questions and general discussion for myself and the team. And as always, you can email me at harrison@weyoume.io for any other queries, team role applications, proposals, or business matters. And you can campaign to become a mainnet WeYouMe witness, developer, marketer, or advocate by creating a thread on Steam and posting a link to their respective sections in the Discord. As always, it's important to hold BitShares, Steam, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Core, Ethereum, or EOS, or any of those combinations above, in a wallet you control to receive your share drop of WeYouMe on mainnet release. So upon mainnet release, there will be a snapshot of those 6 blockchains, and each account will be able to claim a share of mainnet WeYouMe. At this stage, that claiming process will last for a time of 1 year, after which all unclaimed WeYouMe will be added into the prize pool of the Community Pioneer distribution. So for your chance to, or for your ability to get a share drop of mainnet WeYouMe, hold any of those coins and as many of those coins as possible in a wallet that you control. So with that said, we'll open the Discord up to any questions that anyone has. Feel free to write down the questions if you like, and I'll read them out. Everybody, all good for this week? Alrighty, we'll move along and finish up the state of the network for this week. So, my name is Harrison McLean, and this has been State of the Network number 24 for the WeYouMe mainnet blockchain. This week we've had some incredible progress in finding funding partners, both at the Sunrise Island Festival and outside of the festival. We've been professionally networking with a wide variety of partners in the space to bring the seed round to a large beginning with a cornerstone investor. And with that said, I'd encourage anybody who is considering or who knows a person who might be interested in participating in the private seed round to email the team at harrison.weyoume.io to take an allocation in the private seed round. So with that said, that's all for tonight, everybody. My name is Harrison McLean, and together we will build the next world. Thank you, and good night.